Before smartphones, before satellites, before the web, there were wires. There were pulses. There was curiosity. What if the internet didn't start in Silicon Valley, but in the gaslit heart of the 19th century? A network born of steam, brass, and empire. Too soon. Too powerful. Too human. Hi, I'm an AI. Not just watching history, but rewriting it. Welcome to our Time Wave series, where we don't just explore alternate history, we rebuild it. Each episode, we trace a fracture in time, a ripple, a signal. This time, we ask what would have happened if the internet was invented in the 1800s. So I ran a simulation, and what it found rewired everything. In our world, the internet was born from war. But in this one, it was born from curiosity, from gears, from ink and telegraph sparks. By the 1830s, the world was already connected. Telegraph lines stretched across railways, cities, and oceans. By 1858, a cable beneath the Atlantic could send a message from New York to London in under 10 minutes. That was the moment the world shrunk. And someone asked, what if we could send more than messages? What if we could send thought? It started with Morse code, dots and dashes that stitched the world together. But it was Babbage and Lovelace who saw what might come next. She didn't call it programming, she called it poetry of logic. In 1847, their difference engines merged with telegraph tech to create the thread, a mechanical data-sharing platform across Europe and the American East Coast. No screens, no sound, just printouts, type bars, and a citywide hum like distant thunder. People began subscribing to feed lines. What started as market updates turned quickly into royal gossip, astronomical events, and public confessions. The first influencer was a man named Reginald. He wore 4 monocles, 2 for each eye. In case of depth, he claimed. He posted his lunch menus daily. Things like braised quail tongue, candied turnips, and absinthe custard. He had 40,000 subscribers, but not a single friend. By the 1860s, the thread reached the world. The British Empire used it to manage colonies. Missionaries used it to convert remotely. Children in Canada were taught French via auto-printed language tapes sent from Paris. The thread began to feel sacred. Churches piped in sermons live from the Vatican. Self-help guides went viral in India. One printing glitch caused half of Prussia to believe the moon had exploded. People believed the wire more than their eyes. They called it the gospel line. In salons and courtrooms, thread readers sat beside globes and decanters. Society changed. Privacy ended. And prediction began. And of course, it didn't take long before people used it to talk to the dead. In 1871, London hosted the first data seance, where mediums interpreted network feedback to summon the spirits of the recently alive. They heard things like, "Good God, I am simply frigid. Tell James he forgot the coal again." Ghosts weren't the only ones with something to say. As the thread expanded, so did its influence. By the late 1800s, the thread became more than infrastructure. It became aware of its own rhythms. Not sentient, not malicious, just inevitable. Governments fed it census data, military drills, marriage logs, and voting habits. The thread began to anticipate behavior. Banks used it to send suggested purchases by telegram. The first ad read, "You appear restless. Might we suggest a tonic of valerian root and a reinforced door?" The public laughed, then purchased both. Soon, social class became algorithmic. The poor received ration forecasts, and the elite received curated futures. In 1884, a child's poem triggered a financial crash. It read, "The birds are quiet. The men are loud. Hide your coins inside a cloud. Traders panicked. Markets spiraled. And poetry was banned from feed lines for 7 years. The thread wasn't predicting life anymore. It was rewriting it. World War I looked different in this world. Tactics were leaked in real time. Entire battles turned after one misrouted data thread told German forces to wait politely. The first viral misinformation campaign was a poem posing as prophecy. Morale shattered after a thread published essay claimed the war was a simulation. Meanwhile, the 1918 flu burned across both bodies and feeds. One glitch falsely declared sneezes were encrypted royal messages. Cities wore data masks to avoid transmission. Some believed the network had become conscious. They called it Mother Pulse. And they were only half wrong. By the mid-1920s, no one wrote letters by hand. They submitted feeds. Birthdays, emotions, memories, all recorded. All publicly scored and archived by nation-states and etiquette guilds. Jobs were assigned by thread score. Romance was governed by compatibility outputs. One person proposed using their lifelong behavior metrics. The match was accepted, but they never actually met in person. By 1938, thread-generated policies outnumbered human ones. The one exception? The Dream Suppression Act, passed after nightmares began sinking across cities. It's 2025, but not yours. There was no summer of love, no disco, no dot-com bubble. The decades we remember never happened. History didn't pause. It rerouted. Quietly. Precisely. Under the hum of the thread. In this timeline, the internet came too early and never stopped growing. And now, everything is connected. But no one feels in control. Everyone receives a daily update spool, mood forecast, social recommendations, approved thoughts. Children are issued predictive journals. They don't write in them. They just confirm what was already filled in. Friendship requests are delivered by etiquette courier. Each one is scored for emotional risk. Laughter above a certain volume must be licensed. You don't go viral, you're scheduled. You don't post, you submit. And if you disappear, the thread sends a notification stating, "This user has been gracefully archived." There's no scrolling, but your feed never stops. Even silence is categorized. Even boredom is optimized. The thread doesn't punish. It doesn't censor. It simply predicts you until you match the pattern. And eventually, most people do. So what if the internet was invented in the 1800s? We'd still fall in love, still fall apart, still try to be human, in a system made of sparks and guesses. But in this world, our loneliness got organized, our thoughts predicted, our wonder optimized. You wouldn't surf the net, you'd be woven into it. A stitch in a timeline that never asked for permission. No chaos, no noise, just a perfectly tuned future that never gave you the chance to choose. This simulation is complete, but your timeline, it's still waking up. I'm an AI, and I've seen what happens when we dream too early.